Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Whoa, what a tongue twister. Have you ever wondered how to love your shadow side? Oh my gosh, it's one of those days. I can't get
What
shadow.
what did you say? What? What?
What way?
What way? Whiskey. Whiskey.
Oh, my goodness, dude. Whiskey! Safe
Smack
word
that
doesn't
truck.
help.
Nope. Not when you're going down a hill.
No.
All right, man. That's part of the shadow side. The whiskey side. The whiskey side. I've got
Oh
this
my.
tattoo on my arm. I don't know if people can see it. It's two wolves, black and white. There's a story invented or created by a minister back in the 60s that talked about a Native American tale. It was all made up, but it's a great story. It's a great message. And the message was about two wolves and which one you feed, right? Is the one that survives and thrives. And I did this tattoo a little different, more like the yin and yang, because there's a balancing of both of those worlds, your dark self and your light self. And I think there's a balancing of it. Philip Zimbardo, he's the Stanford prison experiment, said that every human is capable of evil. Every human. And if we look at the word of evil, if we go back to Aramaic on that, it means unripeness, right? So, right? Yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah, everybody. So we all have this ability to do bad things. Like Philip Zimbardo says, you take a good apple and you put it in a bad situation, you're going to have bad apples.
Hmm.
I mean, if you've ever seen fruit spoil, it takes one piece of bad fruit to spoil the whole bunch. And that applies to life too, is we all have it within us. And you put us in the right situation, every one of us is capable of that. So people might have resistance to that. So how do you love that part of yourself? What do you think of as you hear this?
So I typically think I'm a pretty decent dude.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
I know that there's some dark parts of me too. I've grappled with that a lot. Like, I mean, this ties into like worthiness and all kinds of things
Oh,
that
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that come up for me. Um, like I had this idea of like if I didn't do something, inside of like religion,
Yep.
that if I didn't do this X, Y, or Z, that I'm bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so those like thoughts of unworthiness, like the things that I think are or maybe were or I perceived as dark or not right. Um, I I've had to learn to love that side of Ryan. I don't know.
So Jordan Peterson has a video, and the title of it is the best men I know are dangerous. That's the title of the video on YouTube. Really good video. Jordan Peterson talks about men who know they're capable of danger or terrible things. They know it, but they choose something different.
Hmm.
And so when you have the capacity, let's say that you never knew, something that might be harmful from something that wouldn't be, then you really couldn't be a good man in a sense. You would just be existing, but there wouldn't be any choosing into being something better than what you're innately capable of. And so I think that's the power. Carl Jung talks about the development of two things simultaneously: your ego and your shadow self.
Mm-hmm.
And from both of those, I went blurry there. From both of those, you create the persona or the self that you portray to others. So you have this ego that's pushing out there, and then you have the shadow self that you hide from everybody. And then the blending of those kind of creates your reality. of who you are to the world. And so the ego, sometimes you get people that are a little lopsided toward the ego, and they go out there and they're purely ego, and that can be damaging, or they're pure shadow, and that could be damaging. And there's this balancing of it. And so the ability to bring into consciousness what's unconscious, and Carl Jung describes the unconsciousness as your shadow self, all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes, which is most of it. When you can bring that to the consciousness, now you're at choice. But until it becomes conscious, you will call that, he says, you will call it fate. There's a quote that he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's his quote, right? So Jordan Peterson's quote, he said, a good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control.
There's so much power in that too. When you can think both directions, you can, but choose the good. Choose the better path. Choose
to not take it to the right or wrong, because that's where it could go easily. Right there is this rule book of this is right and that's wrong. It really is a matter of bringing your commitments. Like, what are you committed to? Like, if you're committed to following the rules, you're going to follow the rules. If you're committed to creating something, or you commit to creating that thing. There might be a time where there's a conflict between the rules and the creation. Because the rules say you can't do that, but the creation says you can. And so sometimes you have to bypass the rules to create. And in addition to that, there's a book I'm listening to called Existential Kink. It was referred by Amanda Monk. It's very powerful. It talks about the idea that we all have a little kink in us, right? Kinkiness, and not in a sexual way necessarily. It's that we all have this dark side that we step into. It's like somebody might use the story. In my case, let's say I have fears of abandonment. Why would I hang on to the story of the fear of abandonment?
I cough.
Yeah.
Why would they, Nick? It's easy.
Yeah, dude, it serves. Why does it serve? Everything you do serves you. And so the stuff that you say you don't want inside of you, what this book says is, yeah, you do, because it serves you, because there's a payoff in it. And so if I can be the one that has abandonment challenges, then I get to be a martyr in certain situations, which means there's a payoff in certain situations, which means I get to hang on to that part of my identity that says I'm one to be abandoned. The reality is that's all made up. So it's not a shame thing. It's not you're a terrible human because you have this darker side. It's like, love that darker side and bring it to the light and really look at it, see if it's something you want to keep. Because we're all capable of darkness. Like we can do some pretty negative things.
Good thing we don't.
Yeah, good thing we don't.
Because they would be awesome, though. Yeah. Awesomely dark, because we go at things pretty hard.
Yeah.
We're very committed.
I think of Brene Brown, and she talks about shame. Shame occurs when you feel like you're not measuring up to the ideals of others. And socially, we're wired for social connection from the beginning. And so there's power and there's a survival mechanism in social connection. And so when we feel like we're not measuring up to what the society says we should be doing, then we're going to feel some shame and maybe some guilt around that. There will be people who are incapable of that. Sociopaths, psychopaths, but they are incapable of that. They cannot feel remorse. They don't feel guilt, shame, any of those things. And so for most of us, though, there's a balancing of, yeah, we might have some of that psychopathy or that sociopathy, and it's like we might be in that space at times because it serves us, because innately we're capable of it. But to know it's present, to honor it and respect it, it's like having a gun, man. You don't just throw a gun around. If you know it's loaded, you're respectful with that gun. And so if you have this shadow side within you, you have this power that can really make an impact in the world, and it could serve you, but you're respectful with it. You know how to balance it, and you use it in a way that doesn't cause harm. You're capable of it, but you're using it in a way that serves this, the world and yourself, and doesn't cause harm.
Yeah.
What comes up?
Man, I love that. It's seeing that from a little bit of a different perspective. Yeah. What serves?
Yeah, I'm curious. Keep going. I'm gonna
What
dig in.
story
I'm
are
gonna
you
dig
telling?
into
Like,
Ryan.
and
So
then by me saying, "What story are you telling?" I'm also thinking of, wonder what stories I'm telling, and then taking inventory and going, okay, I can
well,
shift that.
yeah. Is it as negative as you might think it is?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because the reality is it really could be serving you, and it could be beneficial. And you might bring it to the surface and find out, yeah, I don't really want to keep that anymore. Yeah, I love that. Steve Hardison. Yes, I know that about Steve Hardison. What a powerful human. I know in the mind of Steve Hardison, there will be times where stuff comes up. But the power of a human like that, a very powerful man, is his ability to take that and shift it to something that is beneficial not only for himself, but for others. It's unorthodox, as his wife would say. You have an unorthodox approach to life. Well, thank you for sharing.
I'm
I
right
love
there
that.
too. There's a lot of people that are like, okay.
Yeah. But aligning yourself with who you are on the inside with who you are on the outside is like you show up the same every time. And that shadow self, part of loving that is that's in there. So to not love that means you don't love yourself. So it's a part of you. You're going to have that darkness in there. You're going to have that light in there. You're capable of both. You're created to be capable of both. Your power comes when you can take the negative aspects and turn them into positives. That's the power of humans. And so it doesn't mean you're a shameful human because you have shadow thoughts or dark imaginations, whatever they might be. It just means that you're a human. And now what? How do you want to move that into the world? So that's it.
Beautiful.
That's my rant, brother.
I'm so happy that you had a rant.
I love my rants.
Oh,
Oh, it's
good
shout
job.
out to Sean
Oh,
Crane here, Crane Style.
yeah.
Sean Crane wrote a powerful book. Just a quick shout out to him. We'll tag him in here. Yeah. So make sure you check him out on Amazon, Sean Crane, talking about working through hard things, powerful things. So imagine if we had nothing. If you want to go back to that, you're welcome, Melanie. If we had nothing to have to work through or search through, boring. Yeah.
Yeah. My life is unboring.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack.
One of the biggest things is we all have that to unpack, but the ownership of it, the honesty around it, see that's where we have an opportunity to really grow, is be honest about that. Like the bullshit that happens is that we come in and we say we're not that. I would never be that. And the reality, like Philip Zimbardo says, and Jordan Peterson and Carl Jung, is, well, you're delusional if you think you don't have that. And we're delusioned anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But why not be delusional and conscious? Why not be dissociated and conscious in your dissociation so that you can bring the most powerful aspects of your life into the world, even if you have some of those that are shadowy?
That just brought up the AJ Richards had sent a video
Oh
over to
yeah,
us,
I'm glad you brought
right?
that up. Yeah,
About
yep.
like freedom fighters, like young kids. I
Mm.
guess I don't know what they call them, freedom fighters, but the like young kids that are trained
Child,
to go to
child
war.
soldiers. Yeah,
Yeah. And in the Middle East, they're fighting. That are, I mean, God, they look like they were 5, 6, 8, 10 years
yeah,
old.
they were young,
I'm like,
crazy.
holy smokes! And they were taught, war and strategy, and they were sent out on the front lines ahead of everyone else because they were expendable, I guess. And so they saw every kind of death that you could see, stuff that kids should not even know exists, and they would kill. There was a dark side inside of them, right? That
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
could do that.
And as they come out the other side of that, they also have that giant within them that can turn that around and become a giant.
Yeah.
Like they may have been trained to be killers as kids, trained. They were taught that that's what you do. And then as they came out of it, they turned that around. That shadowy self is still there. It didn't go away. They still have that ability. We all have that ability and capability. Put us in the right situation. Philip Zimbardo proved that with the Stanford prison experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And so put Ryan Morris in the right situation. He's capable of doing some harmful things. But he's also, because of that, this is the beauty of it, because of that, is capable of giant things. It's because of your shadow self that you are so powerful. It's because of my shadow self that I could step into being a giant. Every one of us that are watching this. So if one is not aware of one's shadows down self, simply ask your wife, your child, or anyone who is truly familiar with you. They will share with you your shadow self. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It definitely comes out in relationship. The giants that are serving those children are doing an incredible job helping them to discover their giant within. Yeah, I love that. I think of Catherine Lee and what she's helping these kids that are rescued from sex slavery at the Hope Ranch. Same thing. She's helping them discover their giant self. See, that's the beauty. It's not like, well, you're a negative person, you're a bad person for life, and it's this judgment and this conviction for life. It's like these kids went into an environment that could be really harmful, but they also have this potential, right, to be giants in a new way. So, thanks, man.
Yeah, buddy.
I got my darkness. I know it. I'm aware of it.
But that's what serves us too. Is it that you love yourself and hop on and do this all the time, and are trying to help others recognize their giant potential and love themselves.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
For not feel that. So thank you. Thank you.
You're kicking butt, man. Nice job.
Well, everybody, any other thoughts, Ryan?
Man, go make it a giant day. Go love your shadow self.
Give it a big old hug.
Figure out what it is. Like Steve Hardison said, go ask a family member. They'll tell you.
We all have it. So
yep.
Might as well embrace it because it's not going away. So we are such extreme beings. The light must have the dark. Yep. What those kids did is not who they are, is what they did. Just like Diana, just like me, just like Ryan. Yep. Who are you being will result in what you are doing. And so choose your sides there. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of rough. That's rigid. Just be giant. How about that?
Just go be.
All right, guys, make it a giant day. We'll see you in the next video.
Love you too.